A beautiful 61-degree day here in Cincinnati. Evan Washburn down to the sunshine. Evan.
Well, Greg, A.J. Green will miss his third straight game with that toe injury, but it looks like he'll be back sooner rather than later. Marvin Lewis told us yesterday he had a great workout on Friday. They figured out the perfect shoe. They just want to be careful. And an important note for the Ravens game day roster, Bernard Pierce is a healthy scratch for the first time in his career. The Ravens have decided to activate all 6 wide receivers with tight end Owen Daniels out with that knee injury. Greg?
All right, Evan, thank you. True to his word last night, John Harbaugh says we win the toss, we will defer, and that's exactly what has happened. That is Adam Jones standing in his own end zone, awaiting the kick from Justin Tucker. The Ravens 5-2, the Bengals 3-2-1, and here we go. Way back and through the end zone, and the Bengals will start at their own 20-yard line, and the Bengals quarterback is Andy Dalton. His job is simple, Trent. He has to reignite an offense that managed a measly 135 total yards last week at Indy.
Well, and that's a surprising thing, not to take anything away from Indianapolis and their defense, but when you look at the weapons that Andy Dalton has, and yes, A.J. Green is missing, but you look at the talent that they have on the offensive side. That was a surprising offensive output a week ago, and you expect bigger things today.
So the Bengals from the 20 in the initial handoff going to Giovanni Bernard. And Bernard for about 5 to about the 25-yard line. So much of the Bengals' fortunes this game riding on the offensive line, centered by the rookie Russell Bodine, the 4th-round draft pick. And once again, the explosive wide receiver A.J. Green missing his 3rd straight game. Brandon Tate starts for him. Once again, Bernard. And Bernard close to a first down and a very manageable 3rd and short. Baltimore's 3-4 defense, D'Angelo Tyson starts for Chris Canty, who misses his 4th straight game with a wrist infection. All the linebackers are talented, but everybody's talking about C.J. Mosley, the Ravens' 1st-round draft pick and leading tackler. And Lardarius Webb looking healthy again at cornerback. A bad back had him missing most of the first 4 games of this season. On 3rd and short, Dalton going to keep it and get the first down. And that's already quite a departure from a week ago in Indianapolis.
Well, it's interesting to see the mindset coming into this game. You talk about the history of this series and how physical the series is. The first 3 plays of the game, they've gone run plays. They're pushing the line of scrimmage. Andy Dalton and that entire pile of offensive linemen are able to surge and get the first down.
The Bengals went 3 and out in their first 8 possessions in the 27-0 loss against the Colts last week. Play fake. That pass. Oh, what a catch made by Mohamed Sanu. Sanu off to the races. Dragged down inside the 20-yard line by Lardarius Webb.
What a tremendous catch by Sanu. Extending that right arm. Baltimore decides to bring pressure. That leaves one-on-one on the outside. Sanu. Baltimore thinks they're in position to get an interception, and Sanu just reaches up and is able to tip that ball and gather it in before making the big game.
48 yards to the 18-yard line. And now Cincinnati takes a timeout. So they take their first timeout in Cincinnati, trying to build on the early season momentum that began against this Baltimore team.
Well, they've had their struggles the last few weeks, but the mindset of this game, we're going back to week 1. It was just a physical game. Cincinnati had to settle for 5 field goals.
And then late in the game, Steve Smith Sr. had that touchdown catch, but then here comes A.J. Green with a 77-yarder and a 2-point conversion. And then the sack iced the game 23-16 for Cincinnati.
Well, it's interesting to see the mindset. As we talked about, those first 3 plays were running plays. This is a physical game, and they came out with the attitude, we're going to push them being the Baltimore defense, try and push them off the line of scrimmage. They picked up that first down, but that's where the play-action pass comes into play, and Sanu with the big reception.
Dalton spreads the field. And under pressure, and he goes down. Back at the 25-yard line, Terrell Suggs leading the charge. This Baltimore defense has had 5 sacks in each of its last 2 games, and there's the first one of this day.
And Suggs has really come to life. You talk about McPhee, you talk about Suggs. Elvis Dumervil, the pressure that they've been bringing and putting on quarterbacks, especially as you said, Greg, the last couple of weeks, that's just a matter of Suggs winning around the edge.
On 2nd and 16, Giovanni Bernard going nowhere, maybe as far as the 22. But that's it. Timmy Jernigan in on the stop.
Well, this is the #1 ranked defense when it comes to red zone defense. It's the #1 defense when it comes to scoring defense. And if you go back to that first matchup, yes, Cincinnati was able to get 5 possessions where they get down into field goal range, but they had to settle for 5 field goals. So here they are again, 3rd and long, down in the red zone, having to pick up a long 3rd down before settling for a field goal if they don't pick it up.
No, go to 57. Go.
Hey, we're right here.
Ravens allowing just 8 touchdowns in 22 trips by the opponent into the red zone. Dalton. Throwing to the 5-yard line. Caught to the 1, and he's going to be marked down at the 1-yard line before the ball came loose. Greg Little with the reception.
And there's 2 trains of thought when you're in this position on the field. Do you bring pressure and leave isolation, leave one-on-one on the outside? And that's what Baltimore does. They bring pressure, leaving all the... So you're taking the chance that you're going to get the sack and potentially move them out of easy field goal range. Once you take that chance, though, you better get to the quarterback quickly. That time they didn't, and Dalton was able to put an accurate throw.
And number 94, Domata Pecco, is in the backfield ahead of Giovanni Bernard. Bernard trying to find the end zone, didn't get there. Brought up about a half-yard short. Albert McClellan with the hit.
You can see Bernard just meeting a wall of defenders, 3 defenders right at the goal line, and no matter how low he tries to get, he's not going to get through that wall of defense.
And we have another stoppage of play on the field. And we have an injury, and it looks like maybe an injured Raven. So we'll check on that. Clock is stopped with 10:27 to play in the first, and the Bengals knocking on the door.
And Jimmy Smith is who just went off the field with the injury. Watch his left leg. It doesn't appear that anything happens. He just plants and drives Giovanni Bernard back, but he immediately grabs it. Last night at the meeting, he was talking about how healthy he was coming into this game.
Meanwhile, Giovanni Bernard straight ahead, looking for the end zone. Penalty marker is down, and there is no touchdown signal as yet. Clete Blakeman is our referee today.
Offside defense, number 55, is in the neutral zone at the snap. Penalty's half the distance to the goal line, and we'll replay 2nd down.
Number 55 is Terrell Suggs. So it'll be 2nd and goal. Pecco still ahead of Bernard in the backfield. Dalton going to keep it, looking for the end zone. And a touchdown.
I like how you say Dalton to the right on a quarterback sneak, but it's really student body right. You see the running backs came up, they shoved him in the back of the line. It was more the entire pile trying to get into the end zone, similar to what they had on their first down at the beginning of this series. Watch Andy Dalton as he sneaks off, tries to get in behind Zietler, the right guard. And you see the entire pile just moving forward.
You know, I'd move forward if I knew Domata Pecco was coming up my 6'2". I don't think he can overstate how important that drive was and that trip to the end zone was for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, and we pointed out already just how inept they were a week ago against Indianapolis. Only 8 first downs and 135 yards of offense. And to come out here the first series, go 80 yards, get big 3rd down conversions, and ultimately end up in the end zone is a huge start for them.
Mike Nugent's extra point is good. 10:01 to play here in the first quarter. The Cincinnati Bengals jump on top. Somewhere in the middle of that pileup is a touchdown.
The NFL on CBS. is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Toyota Care. Scheduled maintenance, no cost. And by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly.
If you need a pumpkin, Sunrock Farm across the river in Kentucky. Looks like a lovely place to be. If you can't be here in the stadium, might as well be there. Welcome back, everybody.
Great day for it.
Jacoby Jones going to run this one out of the end zone. 20, 25, 27, and penalty flags fly. I count 1, 2, 3 of them on the turf.
During the return, holding, return team, number 54. Penalty is 10 yards from the spot. First down, Baltimore.
That penalty is on number 54, Zachary Orr, the rookie free agent out of North Texas. Meanwhile, just a few moments ago, Jimmy Smith being carted off the field. Evan Washburn is on the case and will let us know as soon as he knows anything further about what the problem is with Smith. So that backs the Ravens up. They will start from their own 10-yard line. Flacco. Incomplete to Forsett. Let's check in with Evan downstairs.
Well, Greg, as you saw Jimmy Smith heading into the locker room, they're going to take x-rays of his left foot. I saw him come to the sideline. They took the heavy tape off the cleat. He tested the flexion on that left foot, tried to put weight on it. He was in obvious discomfort. He's headed into the locker room for x-rays.
All right, Evan, thank you. We will keep you updated when we know more.
Well, and the crazy thing about that is we showed the replay and there was no twist of the ankle or movement of the foot.
Flacco rolling, throwing, complete across the 15, across the 20, and a first down out to the 25-yard line to Steve Smith Sr. Key members of the O-line back today for the Ravens. Left tackle Eugene Monroe missed 4 games with knee surgery. Kelechi Osemele right next to him back after missing the last 2. And the running game has been in the capable hands and feet of Justin Forsett, having a terrific first half of the season. First down, Baltimore, their own 25. This is Forsett, and Forsett finding room on the left side, out to about the 32-yard line. The Bengals on defense. Carlos Dunlap, part of a front that has to step up against the Ravens' ground game if Cincinnati's to have a chance today. They are without starting middle linebacker Ray Maualuga, who's out with a hamstring. Vincent Ray starts for him. And cornerback Leon Hall missed a day of practice this week with a bad back, injured last week, but he gets the okay to go today. 2nd and 3. Forsett again. And across the 35 to about the 36-yard line, and that's enough for another Ravens first down. Dunlap in on the tackle.
Well, and both of these coaches talked about how physical this series is, and you can see offensively both teams are trying to set an attitude with their offensive line, trying to be physical, trying to run between the tackles. Yes, Baltimore at the beginning of the series started with some bootlegs and some movement of Joe Flacco, but the last 2 plays trying to power right up the middle.
Flacco to throw. Over the middle. That's complete. And close to midfield is Crockett Gilmore, the rookie tight end, who is getting the start today because Owen Daniels is out with a little minor knee surgery.
Well, Crockett Gilmore being a 3rd-round pick out of Colorado State. He has had snaps earlier this year, had a couple of catches earlier this year, but playing mainly on special teams. But today he's going to have to carry the load at tight end.
Flacco, short drop this time, and the quick slant almost intercepted. Terrence Newman had his hands on it and couldn't hold on. Yeah, the Ravens thin at tight end, lost Dennis Pitta early on, and then Owen Daniels, and they've lost him for at least a week, maybe 2.
And as a quarterback, you never want your receiver to give up on a route. And Steve Smith Sr., as he comes out of that slant route, he stops and allows Terrence Newman to cross his face. And as a quarterback, you have to have that conversation that you can't allow that to happen.
Flacco going to hand it off to Lorenzo Taliaferro. And the Raven defense stands tall. Taliaferro in there with Bernard Pierce standing on the sideline inactive today. 3rd and 8. Flacco got rid of it in a hurry. That is complete to Kamar Aiken, and Aiken will be about a yard shy of a first down.
This is that gray area part of the field, and it looks like Baltimore is going to go for it. A lot of times you're too close to to punt it, to only pick up a net 20 yards, 25 yards. Nice job by Flacco, recognizing the blitz, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, and Aiken recognizing to get upfield and get as close as he could.
You like this decision, Trent?
I do like this decision. It's a part of the field where you hate the punting. You know, it's only a net 25, maybe 30-yard pickup. Go ahead and take it. That's having confidence in your defense as well.
Taliaferro, first down, inside the 40 to about the 38.
Greg, you just mentioned how the left side of the offensive line, it hasn't been together now for some weeks, and with Monroe back and Assembly on the left side, that's where this run, it winds back to get over to this side of the football, where the run, it's going to be handed off to the right, but he winds it back right to where that group is back healthy again this week.
On first down, Forsett, right side, and bumped out of bounds just inside the 35-yard line. And by the way, you can't say enough for the youngsters who filled in while Osemele and Monroe were out. James Hurst was a rookie free agent left tackle. John Urschel, the rookie 5th-round draft pick from Penn State, was the left guard, and they did tremendously well.
They did, and you look at, the last 2 games were blowouts, but you even go back 3 weeks, the loss to Indianapolis was a game that they felt they could win. They just didn't get the job done at the end, and ultimately lost a close game.
11th play of this drive. Out of the backfield is Forsett. Forsett inside the 30 and out of bounds at about the 26-yard line, bumped out by Terrence Newman.
What a pleasure it was talking to Forsett last night. We had a chance to sit down with him, and just his perspective on things. This is his 7th year in the National Football League. He's been on 5 different teams. He wasn't sure his career was even going to extend. He just talks about how he leaned on his faith and how grateful he is for this opportunity, and he cherishes everything about the experience.
First down, Baltimore. Taliaferro down at the 26-yard line. Wallace Gilberry, Robert Gathers in on the stop.
I wouldn't be surprised if Flacco doesn't take a shot for the end zone here. Right around this 25-yard line, you've got 2nd and long. Torrey Smith last week, when they threw to him, all of the throws in his direction were up the field throws, not a whole lot of underneath throws.
Flacco got rid of it. Sideline tip, and not intercepted, out of bounds. Marquise Flowers, the rookie out of Arizona, had a chance at the interception, was still bobbling it as he crossed the line.
Late throws to the flat generally get you in trouble as a quarterback, and Joe Flacco's trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly, but Cincinnati's in good coverage. You can see possession of that ball. He doesn't have possession of the ball until after. That's still a bobble. So 1 foot's in, 2 feet, that's out. Good call by the officials, but Flacco's got to understand late to the flat is always dangerous because the defense has the angles.
3rd and 10. Flacco out of the shotgun, going over the middle, diving catch inside the 10-yard line is made by Michael Campanaro. Pretty good throw and an even better catch.
Great job by Campanaro digging this ball out of the turf. When Flacco released it, I understood why he was throwing it the way that he was, to keep it away from the defender. Low and away from the defender doesn't give him a chance to intercept it. Incredible job by Michael Campanaro to be able to go down and dig that ball out.
Only his 4th catch of the season. 1st and goal from the 7. Forsett inside the 5 to about the 3.
This area of the field traditionally for Baltimore, you look at Dennis Pitta, he's gone. Owen Daniels has been the first part of this season, he's gone. How much trust do you have in rookie Crockett Gilmore down in this inside the 5 if you want to utilize the passing game? This is where those tight ends have been worked in the past. How much attention will Cincinnati defense play to?
Tyler Farrell, the deep back, gets the handoff straight ahead and doesn't get any deeper than about the 2. And Vontaze Burfict comes up limping just a little bit. You know, you hesitate. He's been injured quite a bit. You hesitate to call him fragile because he's so hectic around the football field.
I'll let you call him fragile.
No.
I'll let you call him fragile. I don't want to. Hey, by the way, we think you're a little bit fragile. Yeah, that's. He plays the game very physical. He took a lot of criticism this week because of his tackling techniques. He tends to drop his head. He wasn't real happy about that criticism. But you're right, Greg. He has to prove he can stay healthy.
Forsett spinning to the goal line and will be marked just short.
This is going to bring up 4th down, and you know, talking to John Harbaugh last night about how physical this game is, and this does not surprise me at all that they're going to go for it on 4th down inside the 1-yard line.
If you're going to go for it on 4th down from the 40s, you're going to go for it from the half-yard line. 4th and goal. Throwing. Goal line. Incomplete. Intended for Kamar Aiken. Kamar Aiken open for a split second, couldn't hold on, and the Bengals take over.
Okay, right here is Kamar Aiken, and I want you to watch Geathers on the other side. The route is going to be a fake to the left. Geathers gets up the field, and Flacco wants to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and Aiken can't get his head around quick enough.
Offense, number 25. At least half the distance to the goal line.
Andy Dalton trying to sneak his way out of the shadows of the goalposts, but there is a false start against Giovanni Bernard. Let's go back.
Let's look at it one more time. Aiken's going to be coming from behind the line of scrimmage, going out into the flat. But with Geathers getting up the field, Flacco wants to get rid of the ball. Aiken has to get his head around a little bit quicker just to locate that pass. It does hit him in the hand, so yes, he should catch it. But I think if he gets his head around quicker, he'll be able to locate the ball that much earlier and be able to secure the catch.
From the half-yard line, Giovanni Bernard for just a couple. We want to bring to your attention Vontaze Burfict. You saw him reaching down at that lower left leg. He's leaving the field, and this is a young man, as we said, he's had some injury issues. He's missed 2 games. He's left 3 others. Twice was told he had a concussion this season.
I think Evan told him what you said up here, and he was sprinting to the tunnel to get in the elevator.
He's on his way up here, isn't he?
Yes, yes, exactly.
I can't wait. Someone lock the door. 2nd and 9. Dalton out of his own end zone, pulls it down, scampers out of the end zone and out to the 5-yard line. Looked like C.J. Mosley dragged him down.
Well, and you got to remember, going back a week ago, Andy Dalton took a sack in the end zone.
And they will let the clock wind down here in the first quarter. 7-0 Bengals back to Cincinnati.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Kelley Blue Book. Find out what you should pay for your next new car at KBB.com. And by Outback Steakhouse. Outback, no rules, just right.
Right along the shores of the Ohio River as we start the second quarter. The Bengals with 3rd and 6 from their own 5-yard line.
Yes.
Dalton, quick slant, incomplete across the 10. Intended for Sanu, broken up by Dominique Franks, and we check in with Evan.
Well, guys, update on Vontaze Burfict. He headed in the locker room, jogged in there pretty quickly. It's a left knee injury. The official word from the Bengals sideline is he is expected to return, but his injury have been an issue all season, but expected to return with the left knee.
Thanks, Evan. Kevin Huber kicking out of his own end zone. Michael Campanaro deep for Baltimore at his own 45. And a good kick by Huber. Campanaro from his 40. And his forward progress will be marked at about the 48-yard line. 14:45 to play in the first half. Joe Flacco back on offense right after this. That 18-play drive, the longest in team history without scoring a touchdown. It came to a stop at the half-yard line. On first down, Vontaze Burfict back on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals. And Flacco to throw. Near side. Complete at about the 45-yard line to Steve Smith Sr.
Well, you mentioned 18 plays without scoring, but that's why you go for it on fourth down inside your one, is if you have the confidence in your defense to get the stop and then in turn getting that 3 and out, forcing Cincinnati to punt. Now you're starting this drive at midfield after the punt return and putting yourself in good position to go back down and get an opportunity to score.
Yeah.
Flacco on 2nd and 3. They go back to Forsett. Forsett goes back to that left side and looks like he'll be about a yard shy of a first down at the 42.
Well, they bring Taliaferro on the field and take Forsett out. I anticipate him running behind that left side of the offensive line that they had success with on their last short yardage.
3rd and 1.
He's going shit. You're good.
Taliaferro has the first down inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. A reminder, tomorrow on CBS, it's a great night for comedy, beginning with the season premiere of Two Broke Girls, followed by a new episode of The Millers. It all starts tomorrow at 8/7 Central, only CBS.
Talk about the zone run blocking scheme of the West Coast offense. That time the ball handed off to the right, just like the last 3rd and short, able to cut it back and pick up the first down.
Flacco, deep drop, running out of time and got rid of it. And we got a late flag on the near side of the field, downfield.
Terrence Newman on Torrey Smith on this right sideline.
There is no foul for offensive pass interference on the play. Pass was thrown to a different receiver. Brings up 2nd down.
They must have got Torrey Smith on that right sideline. That going up against Newman. Said he pushed off when he was working that comeback route, but because the ball wasn't thrown to him, the flag was picked up.
2nd and 10. And we get movement up front on the left side, and that'll be a false start.
False start. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Eugene Monroe has missed 4 consecutive games with some minor knee surgery, as you look at the numbers for both Flacco and Andy Dalton today. Forsett and Bernard, and Steve Smith Sr. and Mohamed Sanu. And Flacco going to walk away and call a timeout. So 12:53 to play. Joe Flacco saw something he didn't want to act upon, and we'll take a break. Our aerial coverage of today's game provided by MetLife. What a great view. 2nd and 15. Flacco on the move from the pressure and has to throw it away. Wallace Gilberry giving chase to Flacco in the backfield.
Let's see where Gilberry, he's able to get through. He gets off the ball very quickly. You see 95 there. Gets into the backfield right away, and they try chop block him. He just steps over the top of it.
3rd and 15. Quick pass. Steve Smith Sr. hit immediately. We have a flag down on the far side of the field.
Offside. Defense, number 91. It's a 5-yard penalty. Replay, 3rd down.
So let's see if that gives Joe Flacco some new life.
They're saying that's who it was. Keep an eye on him as he flexes. They get him in the zone. Give themselves another crack at 3rd down.
Flacco needs the 28-yard line for a 1st down. Steps up, throws, over the middle, that's complete. Michael Campanaro with the catch and the 1st down to the 21-yard line.
You're going to see pressure coming from this side of the field. They drop out in coverage on the backside. Flacco's able to slide over. They push protection that way and give him time. Joe does a nice job with his feet sliding back, giving him a lane to make that throw to Campanaro.
Michael Campanaro has already played a big role here today. The 7th round draft choice out of Wake Forest. Baltimore 1st down from the 21 and Flacco to throw again. With time, over the middle, complete, and hit just inside the 20-yard line is Forsett out of the backfield. Hit by Vontez Burfict.
Unlike last week, Cincinnati's been able to put a good amount of pressure on Joe Flacco, and with that pressure, not giving him a chance to push the ball up the field. That time Flacco's able to find his check down, but not before Forsett was flipped up after a couple yards.
Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. And we get a marker.
False start. Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty.
This time it's the
Replay,
right
2nd
tackle,
down.
Rick Wagner. And before we get another snap, we check in with the NFL today. JB and Bart Scott.
Hey, Greg, a horrible 1st quarter for Geno Smith.
Yes, Geno Smith throws his 3rd interception of the 1st quarter by Aaron Williams, who returns to 26 yards, setting up a Lee Smith 1-yard touchdown passes, his 10th of the year. Buffalo up 14-0.
Geno in for the first 10 minutes. He's out. Vic is in. Greg Gumbel, Trenton Green, and Evan Washburn.
All right, JB and Bart, thank you so much. That's Kelechi Osemele being helped off the field. I walked off under his own power.
That takes a lot of restraint on Bart Scott's part to not say something more animated about the Jets there. So give him credit.
Bart never gets animated. John Urschel has replaced Osemele at left guard. 2nd and 12. Flacco all by himself. Running out of time now and throws complete to Campanaro. And suddenly Michael Campanaro has become a pretty good go-to guy for Joe Flacco.
Flacco's going to work this way and roll out, and nobody stays to the backside. But I want you to watch the coverage upfield. Nobody stays home. You have all the coverage here. You have everybody covered up. You have 2 guys here. Flacco's trying to push the ball up the field, and as he buys time, Campanaro slides open at the last minute, but only for a couple yards.
3rd and 8. Baltimore 2 out of 2 on 3rd down on this drive. And Flacco looking for time and runs out of it. Loses yardage, loses his helmet. Geno Atkins the first to hit it.
I just got done talking about the pressure they've been able to put on Flacco, and the coverage up the field is what allowing this to happen. Flacco tries to slide back and get to the backside. Just not enough time to make that happen.
Justin Tucker will line this one up from 45 yards out. He has a long of 52 this season. On its way and looking good. So the Ravens get on the scoreboard with 9:15 to play in the first half. It is a 7-3 Bengals lead. This is the NFL on CBS. Baltimore Ravens have run more than twice as many offensive plays as Cincinnati, 27-12. It's only a 7-3 game. Adam Jones back in his end zone for the Bengals. And will he run this one out? He will. Right up the middle. And decked at the 20-yard line by Matt Elam. 7-3 Cincinnati. We're back right after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marines. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by State Farm. Pump up your savings with a discount double check today.
If you're coming over to Cincinnati from the state of Kentucky, you have to go across the Roebling Bridge. I'm no bridge expert, Trent, other than bidding two clubs and moving on from there. Dalton on first down over the middle. Nice hands across the 25 to 26 yard line. Ryan Hewitt with the grab. Let's check in with Evan downstairs.
Well, Greg, the word with Kelechi Osemele is that he should be back in the next series. Something got in his eyes, so doctors and trainers are working on flushing that out. But just as I was getting an update on Osemele, Marshall Yanda headed into the locker room, so I'm still waiting word on what that injury is. Once I get it, I'll pass it along. But Osemele should be back next series.
Thanks, Evan. Marshall Yanda, a key in that offensive front for Baltimore. Meanwhile, to the right side, this is Jeremy Hill, the second-round draft pick out of LSU, with his first carry of the day.
Nice vision and patience as he's trying to get it to the outside. He sees the defender and he cuts back inside to get close to the first down, and appears they're just going to be just short by a couple of feet.
3rd and 1. Hill still in the backfield, and we've seen Dalton keep earlier in this game, and we get a timeout called by Cincinnati with 8 minutes even to play in the first half. A reminder, the Verizon halftime report coming your way. JP and company will have the scores and the highlights and a preview of Thursday Night Football on NFL Network coming up on the Verizon halftime report. We are told from downstairs they are looking at Marshall Yanda's left knee. 3rd and 1 for Dalton and the Bengals.
Hey, 35, 34.
Lead!
This is Hill.
There you go.
And Hill appears to have the first down out to about the 32-yard line. So first down. Hey, CBS Sports app. Access the action on the go at cbssports.com/mobile.
You.
So a new set of downs for Dalton and the Bengals.
Let's go, White. White, duo Cole. White, duo Cole.
Hey,
Jeremy Hill in the backfield.
Go.
On first down, Hill gets the handoff. And not much to be had there, just a couple close to the 35-yard line. Let's get another NFL Today update from New York. Once again, James Brown, Art Scott.
Vic looks prepared today.
Oh, yeah, season of moment, leading the Jets on a 13-play, 76-yard drive, punctuated by a 2-yard run by Chris Ivory. Buffalo up 14-7.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
Bart Scott sounds like he's about ready to get into uniform, doesn't he?
He's a little more fired up that time than having to talk about Geno's 3 picks.
2nd and 7. And tripped up, and we get a penalty marker down, is Jeremy Hill. D'Angelo Tyson went down low to trip him up. Here's Blake Cleatman, or Cleat Blakeman, whatever your choice.
Holding. Offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
That's the center, Russell Bodine.
Well, and Bodine, he gets beat to the outside, and he really, you're gonna see the tackle that happens right here. As an official, you have no choice but to call the play. When you go up high, you see him, he turns and throws him down. Throws him right into his own running back, but that's an obvious holding call.
There is a segment of society that says you can call holding on every down if you so desire.
But when you grab them on the outsides of the shoulder pads, turn their bodies and bring them to the ground, that's definitely going to draw the attention of that back referee.
Spoken like a true quarterback. 2nd and 17.
Wake up!
That pass is complete to Greg Little. And his forward progress is going to be marked at about the 33-yard line. Clock continues to move, 6 minutes to play here in the first half. Coming into this game, Trent, I thought that there was going to be no pressure greater on anyone on this field than that Cincinnati offensive line, because the Ravens have proven themselves to rush the quarterback very well in recent weeks and to stop the run, and the Bengals have had trouble running the football.
Well, they have, and if you think about it, the Bengals, the first drive of the game was an 80-yard touchdown drive, and since then they've only had 26 yards of offense, so the Ravens' defense has settled in here, or at least up until this point.
Dalton throwing, and that's complete. We got a penalty marker down. The play goes across midfield and out of bounds at the 47 of the Ravens, but let's check the flag. Greg Little on the receiving end.
Holding. Offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 3rd down.
The hold on Andre Smith is going to bring it back.
I want you to watch Andre Smith, and what I want you to pay attention to is his right arm as he's trying to block Elvis Dumervil. His right arm gets underneath Dumerville's left arm. See that arm come around the backside of his pad, and his hand actually gets on the number 5 on his back. Once again, that's what officials are looking for. They're looking for hand placement, and once that hand goes underneath on his back, as Dumerville's trying to get around the edge, you have no choice but to call it.
So on 3rd and very long, they gave us to Jeremy Hill, and that's going to go nowhere. The fans don't like it, but that call doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me, and really I don't understand, what do you want them to call on 3rd and 20? There's not a lot of plays in the playbook. You can take your chance and throw a jump ball down the sideline, and you could get a pass interference or an illegal bump, but you've also seen the pressure that the Ravens have put on the last few pass attempts, so you're asking Andy Dalton to hold the ball a long time.
Campanero at about his own 25 and up the sideline and steps out of bounds. 4:34 to play in a first half that has the Bengals on top 7-3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. More live games than ever before with NFL Mobile. And by Cialis.
Saturday, it's a college football tripleheader. First, Air Force tries to clinch the Commander-in-Chief trophy, visiting Army. Then Florida takes on Red Hot Georgia, and then in prime time, the 7th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame tangle with Navy. Make sure you watch College Football Today live at 3 Eastern. Busy day next Saturday here on CBS. Kelechi Osemele is back in at left guard. John Urschel has replaced Marshall Yanda at right guard. And this is Flacco throwing deep, and a penalty marker is thrown on the far side of the field. Intended for Torrey Smith, covered by Leon Hall.
Well, Torrey Smith did a double move. He's on the left sideline against Leon Hall.
Contact. Defense, number 29. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, and he's lucky it was only called an illegal contact and not a pass interference. The difference is, here they are up here at the top of your screen. Torrey Smith is going to run a comeback and go. So he's going to go up, stutter his feet, turn his shoulders, and try and get back. Leon Hall makes contact there and grabs him. The officials judged that contact was made before the ball was in the air. That's a big difference because instead of a spot foul, it's only a 5-yard penalty, but it is first down.
First down at the 38-yard line of the Ravens. Forsett. Justin Forsett came into this game averaging 5.8 yards an attempt. That was the best of any NFL running back. And there is Bernard Pierce on the sideline, inactive for today's game.
When you talk about what he's coming into today averaging, but so far today his longest run has been 7 yards. So this Cincinnati defense has really shored up front to eliminate those big runs.
Flacco to throw on 2nd and 7. Over the middle and complete. Kamar Aiken covered by Vincent Ray. It'll be 3rd and 7. How about Forsett coming into this game? 7 carries of 20 or more yards on the season, tied for the league lead with DeMarco Murray.
Well, and I was just impressed talking to him last night about his preparation. He wasn't sure he was even going to be in the league, and now all of a sudden he's the starter.
Flacco, a bullet complete to Steve Smith Sr. And forward progress will be marked at the Cincinnati 46, and that's enough for a Baltimore first down.
The protection is solid for Joe Flacco to be able to step in this throw. Cincinnati doesn't bring added pressure. They just drop back into a zone. Steve Smith Sr. works his way in between 3 defenders just on a comeback route, and Flacco is able to have a lane to complete it.
3rd catch of the day for Steve Smith Sr. Forsett with running room inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line. 12-yard gain.
And this is what the zone blocking scheme does. You see the offensive line all moving to the right. The handoff there, and it's really, Forsett talked to us last night about how much he enjoys this offense because he's been in it at different places around the league. But he likes to stick his foot in the ground one time and make that cut. That time you see the offensive line flush the defensive line of the Bengals down, giving him that one cut, and he's able to get up the field.
11th first down of the day for the Ravens. And Forsett lost the football and fell on it back at the 38. Geno Atkins may have caused the fumble.
Geno Atkins gets his arm in here as Forsett's trying to get away. Forsett does a nice job of getting back on the ball.
And with that, we get to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here at Paul Brown Stadium. And we'll continue here on CBS in just a moment. 2 minutes to play. Eugene Monroe, the left tackle, on the sideline. James Hurst in the lineup for him. No word of an injury to Monroe. And Flacco to throw. Lots of time. And let's see, that play must have been blown dead.
I didn't hear a whistle, but based on the way that Flacco reacted, and
There is no foul on the play. The whistle was blown erroneously before the snap. So replay the down. It's 2nd down.
Whistle was blown erroneously.
Marshall Yanda back on the field at right guard. Sounds like a literary character, doesn't it? Erroneous whistle.
I was going to say inadvertently, but I like it. Fleet taking it to another level.
On 2nd and 13, the give is to Forsett. And Forsett with running room up the middle. Banged down at about the 32. So now Flacco is looking at a 3rd and 7.
Well, he has to be aggressive. You're under 2 minutes. You've got 1:40 to go. You've had the ball in this end of the field the entire first half. You look at Cincinnati after that first drive, really hasn't done anything offensively, and they've been able to maintain control, that being Baltimore's offense. So They have to put the ball in the air, and I don't think you necessarily take a shot at the end zone, but if you can get them down to the 15, 20-yard line on an inside dig route to utilize the middle of the field, that's where you have to take advantage.
Flacco running out of time, going deep down the sideline. It is incomplete. And Flacco was under pressure late. Steve Smith, Sr., the intended receiver, covered by Reggie Nelson.
Well, they tried getting a wheel route on the outside to Smith. See what kind of pressure. They're only bringing 4 people. They bring a late blitz off the edge with Terrence Newman, and that's why Flacco has to get rid of the ball before hitting that out and up to Steve Smith Sr. down the sideline, and that ball ended up a good 8 to 10 yards out of bounds as Flacco was just throwing it away.
This is Justin Tucker from 50 yards out. And before that happens, Baltimore takes its second timeout of the first half. Just a reminder, once again, the guys standing by in the studio to bring you the Verizon halftime report. JB and the gang. Scores, highlights, and a preview of Thursday Night Football on NFL Network, all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Tucker from 50 yards. Good from 45 earlier. And that one is perfect. 1:02 to play in the first half. The Ravens narrow the gap to 1. Hey, this week, Thursday Night Football is on the NFL Network with an NFC South clash between the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. That's Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on NFL Network. Carlos Dunlap and the Baltimore Ravens. But what a clash up front. 35-yard drive, 8 plays.
Settling for another field goal again, so the Bengals doing a nice job of keeping them out of the end zone.
Each team with 1 timeout remaining here in the last minute of the first half. And this is Adam Jones. He will bring this one out from 9 yards deep. And running room and across the 20 and brought down by Anthony Levine.
Coming into this game, we talked in the open about, with A.J. Green being out of the game, who was going to have to be factors. Mohamed Sanu has the one catch. It was that one-handed bobbling catch that he tipped up in the air and had for a big reception at 48 yards. And also Giovanni Bernard, who's been involved in the running game, has yet to be involved in the passing game. But Jermaine Gresham has been non-existent. He has no catches. The Bengals have struggled offensively after that first drive.
Penalty markers fly. Dalton throws, and that's complete to guess who? Jermaine Gresham.
Well, he was 5 yards downfield. I don't understand how the whistle wasn't blown. Usually when the offense is that far downfield, they're gonna blow the whistle, but
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, 51. Penalties decline. The yardage is enough for a first down.
So that call goes against the Ravens and Darrell Smith.
Well, and Gresham is going to be right here on your screen, and you're going to see how far downfield he is. Normally, if a tight end is flexed out wide like he is, I know they call it against Baltimore, and I know they call it against DeMonch, but they just, you know, they're not able to. I'm sorry, against Darrell Smith. When he's on the other side of the field like that, that usually goes against the offense.
Little screen to the near side. Bernard out of bounds at about the 37-yard line with 46 seconds to play. Well, so far today, the Bengals started with a touchdown and then followed up their next 2 possessions with a punt.
They've only have 1 timeout left because they burned that one after the big catch by Sanu in the first quarter. So they only have 1 remaining.
Dalton Over the middle, penalty marker in the backfield as this one is complete to Brandon Tate, and he's out of bounds at the Baltimore 45, but let's check the flag. This feels like holding.
Holding. Offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Once again, Andre Smith, the right tackle, the guilty party.
Andre Smith, once again, working the top of your screen here. Coming off the edge. Last time he got called for his hands outside. This time he had both hands on Dumerville's back.
Elvis Dumerville is a tough ticket for an offensive lineman, isn't he?
Well, it's because he gets so low. You see the speed he used there, and then he was able to dip down below Andre Smith, and you get lower, and a lot of offensive linemen, they just tried pushing him down and got called for the hold.
Bernard out of bounds at the 35-yard line, stops the clock with 34 seconds to play. We're talking about Elvis Dumerville, who comes into this game with 7 sacks, 5'11", 253. In his 9th season out of Louisville with really long arms.
One at 5'11", that's what allows you to get low and get down, and just his speed rush has been tremendous so far today. And as you said, even for the whole season, it has been.
At 5'11", he doesn't have much choice but to get low.
Right.
Dalton. That's complete to Gresham again, and Gresham lost the football at the 45-yard line, and looks like Cincinnati retained possession. Now Darrell Smith gets up saying it's our ball, but the referee does not agree. Had the ball punched right out of his hand, and he fell on it. And Baltimore uses its last timeout here in the first half to stop the clock with 15 seconds.
Darrell Smith is the one that comes up and punches the ball out for Gresham, and fortunately for Gresham, he's able, or is tackled in the direction of the fumble, and is able to fall on top of the ball.
I was reading an article this week, Trent. Players say there are some terrible things that go on at the bottom of a pile. Horrible things.
There are, but now there's so many cameras and so many close-ups, and everybody's getting fined for a lot of things. You know, Burfett got fined for twisting other players' ankles and doing stuff at the bottom of the pile.
25 big ones. No one deep for Baltimore as Huber tries to get this kick away.
Clearly going for the block.
And this one is just punched downfield and will roll out of bounds at about the 7-yard line with 5 seconds to play in the first half. You know, with nobody in the secondary, I'm sure that's a wonderful temptation for a fake.
You'd think so, but as a punter, I think it's let's get this out of my, or off my foot as quickly as possible. Even if it's 15 yards, it's a win because they don't have anybody back there.
So we presume Flacco will just take a knee, and that will do it for the first half. That's exactly what will happen. You know, John Harbaugh said he didn't believe for 1 second that last week's Cincinnati Bengals performance was the real Bengals, and the Bengals have come out tough today. 1 touchdown drive, and the defense has held Baltimore to 2 field goals. 7-6 Bengals into the first half. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back in Cincinnati, interesting defensive first half. The Dalton-led Cincinnati Bengals came out and scored first, grabbed a 7-0 lead, but the Ravens could do nothing more than a couple of field goals. And at halftime, it's a 7-6 Cincinnati lead. As you look at the numbers on this game, the Ravens lead the way in total yards. They're number 7 in the league in total yards. But they're also number 6 in points scored, and they aren't really getting that done in the first half, Trent. So what do the Ravens have to do that they weren't able to accomplish in the first half?
Well, I think they need to get some big plays up the field. Cincinnati's defense came into this game giving up over 35 points a game the last 3 games, and they've done a good job of keeping them out of the end zone. As you said, keeping them to field goals. Baltimore needs to do a better job of running and also taking those shots up the field. That's what they rely on. They rely on big plays up the field. And for Cincinnati, they had that first drive where they were able to put some plays together and get that 80-yard drive, but since then they haven't been able to do much. A lot of that has to do with the protection that Andy Dalton's getting. The Ravens are doing a great job coming off the edge. They've been called on a couple of penalties, couple of holding penalties. Andy Dalton's only been sacked 1 time in the first half, but they have to find ways to move the ball around, get more guys utilized in the game. Sanu's only got the 1 catch.
Yeah, Baltimore is going to get the ball first here in the second half. Let's check in with Evan downstairs.
Well, guys, I spoke with Marvin Lewis going into the locker room, and he said the biggest thing is penalties that are really stalling the drives, and specifically Andre Smith said he has to do a better job with his hands. Too many holding penalties. John Harbaugh seemed poised coming out of the locker room, just said, got to take it one play at a time. No update at this point on Jimmy Smith. I did not see him come back out on the field during the first half. I'll check for him here in the second.
All right, Evan, interesting that Evan had a conversation with John Harbaugh because Coach Harbaugh says he can't really guarantee what his mood is going to be at halftime.
Well, that's what he's, when he said his mood was okay and calm, and that was impressive because he couldn't, as you said, Greg, he couldn't reassure us one way or another what that mood would be like, and the fact that they're trailing at half, you wouldn't have anticipated that.
Jacoby Jones from 3 yards deep in the end zone. Breaks it to the outside and is run out of bounds close to the 20-yard line. We talked about Carlos Dunlap at the top of the day, Trent.
Well, and the Ravens have done a nice job of neutralizing him. They've run away from him. When you get into the running game, they tend to be moving away from him. Here's a play-action pass where they're rolling away from him. From a blocking standpoint, a lot of times they've been in the one-on-one. They've occasionally chipped. That time you can see they're using some guard help to get outside to help him. That time Flacco just getting the ball out of his hand quickly, trying to neutralize Carlos Dunlap. But this entire Cincinnati defense has played well all day.
The screen to Juszczyk on the near side of the field, and he's got lots of room to run before he's bumped out of bounds. Close to the 40-yard line, and that's enough for a first down. So right off the bat, the Ravens offense gets a first down.
Well, just like Cincinnati's thinking, I'm sure, is coming out of they want to get a big chunk of yardage. The Ravens are going to go to Juszczyk. They're going to throw the screen to him on the backside, catch him off guard, and you can see the defense flowing strong, not anticipating the throwback screen to Juszczyk, and they're able to pick up a big chunk of yardage on first down.
21 yards, the longest pickup of the day for the Ravens, and this is Forsett. And Forsett across the 40, close to the 41-yard line. Wallace Gilberry with the stop. And it'll be 2nd and 9.
Well, for the most part, this Cincinnati defense, as we just touched on a second ago, they came into this game giving up a lot of yards, giving up a lot of points, but they've done a good job. Steve Smith Sr. had 3 catches, but for only 35 yards in that first half, and Torrey Smith has yet to catch a football.
Flacco, deep drop, plenty of time, and throws and intercepted. Picked off by Emmanuel Lemur. Sixth interception of the season thrown by Flacco.
He just gets greedy trying to push the ball up the field. Trying to get the ball to Torrey Smith in that zone. And Lemur just floats right back into the zone. He thinks that Torrey Smith is going to be open. Watch his eye. Joe Flacco, he's staring that way. He locked in on him too much, and Lemur was able to read his eyes and float right back into that zone and able to pick it off.
On the reverse, Mohamed Sanu, left side with blockers in front of him. Sanu, 30 to the 25 and a first down.
Both defenses are very aggressive defenses. They both have shown that in the first half. Baltimore, in their first offensive play, played to the advantage of that aggressive defense, throwing a screen on the backside. Cincinnati does the same thing on their first play, playing to the hands of that aggressive defense, getting a reverse and getting the over pursuit.
This is Bernard for nothing up the middle. Squeezes just inside the 25-yard line. Mohamed Sanu, he was a quarterback at South Brunswick High School in New Jersey, drafted 3rd round 2012 by the Bengals. 9 career receiving touchdowns, including 3 this season, and 2 career touchdowns throwing the football, including 1 this year. On 2nd and 9. Bernard to the 20. And Haloti Ngata, a mountain of a man.
Well, considering how hard touchdowns have been to come by today, I wouldn't be surprised if Dalton doesn't take a shot to the end zone right here.
Dalton spreading the field on 3rd and 5. He needs the 15-yard line for a first down.
Hey, we're out here. Outside 51. Yep.
Dalton, quick pass over the middle, incomplete, and a penalty marker thrown. C.J. Mosley trying to cover Bernard. This will go against the Ravens.
Pass interference. Defense, number 57. The ball was placed at the spot of the foul. First down, Cincinnati.
Keep an eye on C.J. Mosley. He's going to be coming from the right side of your screen. It's his left arm that gets him in trouble. He hooks the receiver with his left arm. He hooks Giovanni Bernard with that left arm, and as you see Bernard's body turning, he's able to get the right arm in there and knock it down, but C.J. Mosley gets called for it because of the location of that left hand.
The red zone trip for the Bengals at the Baltimore 14. The pitch for Bernard. Bernard to the 10. Giovanni Bernard, all 5'9", 208 pounds of him.
Well, this is talking to Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator for Baltimore. This is where they feel they have an advantage because of the size of their front line, because of the size of their defensive line, because of the success they've had in the red zone. That's why he feels they're so strong in red zone defensive. Their touchdown percentage is number 1 in the National Football League, and that's what gives them the advantage, the size of the guys up front.
Bernard to the 5, to the 4. And this looks like it'll be a 1st and goal.
And just as I'm talking about that front line, the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line says, well, we're a big crew too, and we're going to get physical with you, and we're going to run the ball right in the middle of this defense that you have so much respect for and you have so much pride in, giving them a 1st and goal inside the 5.
And they get bigger as they bring Domata Peko in front of Bernard. And Dalton going to throw on the move and throws it away. Being chased by Albert McClellan, it'll be 2nd and goal. The Bengals trying to turn that takeaway into points on the board.
Well, they tried sneaking Gresham out into the back of the end zone, get him across that line, but you talk about Peko I think they were trying to get him out into the flat. I think they were trying to squeeze him out into the flat, and he would have been Andy Dalton's 2nd choice, but the Ravens weren't falling for it.
So now it's Ryan Hewitt along with Bernard in the backfield on 2nd and goal. Bernard straight ahead to the 1. Darrell Smith, Courtney Upshaw converging for the stop.
Very physical play. You can see running inside the tackle, especially down near the goal line. It's physical football. Cincinnati was in this situation back in their first drive of the game and was able to get Andy Dalton in on a quarterback sneak.
From the 1. Bernard leaping. Touchdown.
He jumps over the top. You see the football that breaks the plane before contact by Darian Stewart. and then he ultimately ends up falling forward into the end zone. But it was that initial breaking of the plane that got the official to signal
And
touchdown.
you saw the congratulations being handed out on the bench to Emmanuel Lemur, whose interception set up the touchdown. Nugent for the extra point. And it is good. Flacco throwing, Lemur intercepting. And it turns into that touchdown by Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard with his 5th rushing touchdown of the season. Gives the Bengals a little bit of breathing room at 14-6 with just under 10 to play here in the third quarter. Jacoby Jones, who has 4 career kickoff returns for touchdowns. He'll get a chance to run this one out from about 5 yards deep. He can't get back to the 20-yard line. He's brought down at about the 17. Let's check in downstairs with Evan Washburn. Evan.
Well, guys, we saw Jimmy Smith early in the first quarter go down with that left foot injury, immediately went into the locker room. His return is doubtful. And just to update some other injuries, obviously in that first half, that offensive line, a lot of moving parts. Kelechi Osemele had the eye injury, and then Yanda with the knee, and also Monroe, which was not injury related. They were all in for that first series for the Ravens, but the biggest news, Jimmy Smith return is doubtful with a left foot injury.
All right, Evan, thank you. So first down, line of scrimmage is the 17-yard line. Forsett across the 20 to the 21, and right now Eugene Monroe is on the field for Baltimore.
Baltimore needs to get something going offensively. Cincinnati's defense has responded. You know, coming into this game, we talked to Coach Harbaugh, and he just said, you know, we expect the old Cincinnati. We expect the Cincinnati we always face in these type of matchups, not the one that's been on tape the last couple of weeks.
Forsett again. Meanwhile, it's been a different Cincinnati team than we have seen the last few weeks. And, you know, Marvin Lewis says, you know, last week it was really simple. We just didn't tackle. We didn't tackle at all.
Well, they've been much better with their tackling today. They've been much more sure-handed. They haven't allowed the big plays. Yes, the last series, Baltimore was able to break off a chunk on the screenplay, but for the most part, they've kept everything under control in terms of not allowing the up-the-field type plays.
3rd and 1, and Flacco's going to throw. Intercepted again at the 30-yard line. Picked off by Adam Jones.
Well, Torrey Smith is who is in the route. He just stops on the play. He gets collision. He's going to be at the bottom of your screen, and the slot receiver is going to go to the flat. And what happens is the defender is going to collision with Torrey Smith. You can see right here he gets hit right in the face, helmet to face mask, and he stops. Doesn't even attempt to make the tackle. And Jones is able to step in and get the interception.
And Torrey Smith is slowly walking off the field. So we'll check on him. Meanwhile, here are the Bengals back at the Baltimore 18-yard line. Jones with his first interception of the season. And nothing has been there for Torrey Smith so far today.
Well, now the defense for the Ravens have to respond, considering the offense hasn't been moving the ball at all. They can't allow to go down 2 scores.
The pitch for Bernard. Nothing doing. Lost yardage on the play. Darrell Smith breaking through. And a loss of about 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 13. Once again, this is a battle for the top spot in the AFC North. If Cincinnati wins it, they are the division leaders by percentage points. Please don't ask me what the percentage is. I have no clue.
Well, I think the more important thing is if Cincinnati gets the win, they would be 2-0 against the division. Yeah, they have a lot of games remaining against the division, but with Baltimore sitting on top right now, they would have those 2 wins against Baltimore.
Dalton flipping it out here to Jeremy Hill. Hill back to about the original line of scrimmage, maybe a yard short. So not much of a pickup there as we hit 7 minutes and 40 seconds to play here in the third quarter.
And we're a long way from talking about tiebreakers and playoffs and those kinds of things, but when it comes late in the season, those are going to be very valuable wins, as we know.
Third and 10. Dalton throwing to about the 15-yard line. It's going to be marked to the 14, and it's complete to Jermaine Gresham, and C.J. Mosley hit him immediately, and that'll bring Mike Nugent and the field goal unit on.
It was a very conservative play call and execution. You can understand why they need the field goal right now. With an 8-point lead, it's still a 1-possession game, but with the field goal, makes it a 2-possession game.
Torrey Smith headed for the locker room. Mike Nugent, a horrible miss of a field goal at Carolina. And his first attempt since that miss is good from 32 yards out. 17-6 Bengals.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the all-new 2015 Acura TLX. It's that kind of thrill.
Welcome back to Cincinnati. You know, coaches preach against turnovers and how much they can hurt you. 2 Baltimore turnovers today have led to 10 Cincinnati points. (17-6) Bengals. Jacoby Jones deep once again, and we'll run it out. Jones across the 20 to about the 21-yard line. So now Joe Flacco and the Baltimore offense trying to find something to build on. 6:23 to play here in the third quarter. The Cincinnati Bengals grabbed the lead right off the bat today and have not given it up. From the 21, Flacco with time, throwing incomplete. Forsett wrapped up at about the 27-yard line by Vontez Burfict. A reminder, tomorrow on CBS, it's a case so big these geniuses will need some help. NCIS Los Angeles' Linda Hunt guest stars on a new Scorpion tomorrow at 9/8 Central only. CBS.
Well, for an offense that likes taking shots up the field, they haven't been able to get any of those off today. Cincinnati's been in great coverage, causing Flacco to dump it off underneath.
Forsett to the right side, squeezing through for a first down out to the 35-yard line. And while we have a moment, we'll bring you up to date. Torrey Smith being looked at for a possible concussion on that collision on the field. Michael Campanaro has a hamstring. Jason DeMonch with a shoulder, and Ryan Hewitt with a shoulder. Taliaferro, the backfield, the fake, going deep down the middle of the field and complete. The pass intended for Jacoby Jones, covered well by Terrence Newman.
Well, and there was the shot up the field that we were talking about. Just to stretch the defense, to open up some of that underneath stuff, you have to try getting over the top, and great coverage by Terrence Newman up the field.
Boy, the removal of Terry Smith sure takes a deep threat away from the Raven offense. 2nd and 10. Flacco throwing, incomplete. Kamar Aiken, the intended receiver, covered by Dre Kirkpatrick. It'll be 3rd and 10. How'd that Bengal D today?
They've been all over Flacco, and we've seen the last couple of plays, the coverage upfield. Joe's had the 2 interceptions the last couple of possessions. Now the crowd's getting into it on 3rd and long.
Flacco this quarter, 2 out of 6 with 2 interceptions. Throwing over the middle, and that's complete. And to midfield and stretching for the first down is Crockett Gilmore. And it looks like he has it.
Gilmore will be lined up on your left here. They do a nice job picking up protection there. Even though they were bringing pressure, the line was able to hold everybody out, allowing Flacco to slide and find Gilmore working on the backside.
Boy, for so long, Dennis Pitta has been such a security blanket for Joe Flacco. And then this season, once Pitta went away, it was Owen Daniels. Forsett. For about 3 to the 48-yard line. As we hit 4 minutes to play here in the 3rd with NFL Mobile. Stream live local Sunday afternoon primetime games and NFL Red Zone right on your mobile device. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile. You know, John Harbaugh said, we know this Bengal team is struggling and we don't want to give them a chance to get up. But the Bengals have gotten up today. On 2nd and 7. Flacco over the middle, complete. First down and then some for Taliaferro. Taliaferro still on his feet inside the 25-yard line to the 23.
Cincinnati decides to bring pressure. We talked about last week the number of missed tackles that Cincinnati had. This time they're able to provide protection. Look at the pressure coming down here. They're going to roll. That means all these guys are locked up in man-to-man with a safety free. If you decide to bring that pressure and Baltimore is able to pick it up, once the check down is hit, as Joe Flacco goes through his reads, right here, you've got to come up and make that tackle in the middle of the field.
And there's another missed tackle, the kind that haunted the Bengals a week ago. Flacco still with the ball, and he's going to run it inside the 15, sliding down inside the 10 for a first down. They will mark him down right at the 10-yard line.
And for people watching this play, trying to figure out why the ball was marked at the 10-yard line, for a quarterback, when he's out of the pocket, as soon as he begins his slide, that is where they're going to mark the ball. Even though he wasn't touched until the 7 or 8-yard line, because Joe Flacco started his slide back at the 10-yard line, that's why the ball is marked there.
1st and goal. Taliaferro to the 5, touchdown. Lorenzo Taliaferro's 3rd touchdown of the season, the first of the day for the Baltimore Ravens, and they're right back into it. Extra point or 2 points?
Well, I think you got to go for 2. As you can see, the offense staying on the field just because you get the 2-point conversion. Then all of a sudden it's just a field goal differential. If you miss it or you kick the field goal, either way you're going to have to get a touchdown. So because that is the layout of what is going to transpire here throughout the rest of the game, go for the 2 points right now.
Forsett the lone back behind Flacco. Straight ahead, Forsett for the 2. And that looked really easy.
They were able to push that left side of the screen, but watch the defense. The pursuit and the flow. Nice job by Taliaferro.
3-point Bengal lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new 2015 Acura TLX. It's that kind of thrill. And by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL.
(17-14) Cincinnati. The Ravens, a 79-yard drive, the last 52 yards coming on 3 plays, culminating in the Taliaferro touchdown. And then the Ravens convert their first 2-point conversion of the season. And Brandon Tate will not run this one out of the end zone, so the Bengals will start from their own 20-yard line. Lorenzo Taliaferro, just like that. The Ravens back in business, down by 3. You're always going to miss a guy who averages 18.5 yards a catch, and A.J. Green sitting this one out, probably returning next week for the Bengals against Jacksonville. From the 20-yard line, Dalton. Under pressure, got rid of it. Bernard bumped out of bounds after about a 1-yard pickup. Hey, Week 8 continues later today here on CBS and for some of you on Fox. And then tonight with Green Bay and New Orleans on Sunday Night Football on NBC. And tune in tomorrow for Washington and Dallas on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Pickup of 2 makes it 2nd and 8.
Yeah.
And we are down to 1.5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Dalton throwing, sideline, complete, out of bounds. First down at the 35-yard line to Brandon Tate.
And Dominique Franks is in at corner because of Jimmy Smith being out. You see he'll plant his foot and just slips coming out of it, allowing Tate to have a clean catch.
Hey, wait, bounce.
13-yard pickup for Dalton, who was 11 of 13. And here's that same reverse again, Sanu. And this time wrapped up by Terrell Suggs.
C.J. Mosley is the one that sniffed it out initially, getting into the backfield, and that's who Dalton has to. This is Suggs, though, on the backside. He's going to ultimately be the one making the tackle. But watch 57. He gets upfield, and that's what causes Sanu to cut back inside. Dalton chops Mosley down, but because Sanu has to cut back inside, that's what filters him back in to Terrell Suggs.
Just a 1-yard pickup, 2nd and 9. Dalton with time, throwing over the middle, and he's got his man across midfield into the 48-yard line. That's Brandon Tate once again. And with that, time winds down, but what a throw right over the middle. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. This is the NFL on CBS.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Along with our producer, Bob Monsbach, our director, Suzanne Smith, Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Evan Washburn. Here in Cincinnati as we start the fourth quarter, Bengals by 3. This is Jeremy Hill. And Hill inside the 45 to about the 43-yard line. From the Bengals' point of view, Trent, so far so good with the performance of that offensive line today.
The offensive line's done a tremendous job. We touched on them in the open. I want to say we called them the Big Uglies, which I don't know if they're going to be.
You called them the Big Uglies.
You cleared that up without we. It was me called them the Big Uglies, and that's exactly how they're playing today. They're pushing this defensive line of the Ravens around and giving Andy Dalton some time.
Andy Dalton on the money to Mohamed Sanu. And he will be marked out of bounds at about the 34.
And if you're wondering why the clock is continuing to run, when an offensive player goes backwards out of bounds, it's the forward progress spot that's used, and that's why the clock continues to wind.
Giovanni Bernard finds a little running room and then is pushed back by Brandon Williams in the nose tackle. Reminder again, Jimmy Smith out of the lineup at cornerback for Baltimore. Dominique Franks has replaced him. Second and 8. Cincinnati running the ball. Dalton throwing. And on the outside, that's complete to Sanu. And Sanu will be marked out at about the 23-yard line. Mohamed Sanu, third-year wide receiver from Rutgers.
You can see the idea that Cincinnati has now with Jimmy Smith out of the game, going after Dominique Franks.
There's Torrey Smith walking back onto the sideline. Here's Bernard. And Bernard inside the 20 to the 19. It's a pretty good job by Sanu tight roping on the sideline. He didn't manage to do it successfully, but he looked pretty agile.
Well, and getting him involved is going to be important. Those are his first, the last two catches. He hadn't had a catch since early in the first quarter, so getting him involved, and this is the part of the field, because of his size, that you can really take advantage of a matchup standpoint.
You saw the difference in the rushing game for the Bengals from last week to this. It doesn't take much to improve on what they did last week. Last week was just a horrendous outing all the way around. Play clock down to 3. Dalton throwing. That's complete to the 15-yard line to Gresham. So as this game comes along, Dalton finding his tight end.
Well, good progression that time. Nice, good job by the offensive line, giving Dalton time to go through his progression. They brought some pressure, and he was able to put it on the target. Third and short here. I think Cincinnati has to continue throwing the ball short. If you take a shot to the end zone, you know you're already in field goal range.
Here comes the blitz. Dalton to the end zone, has a man open and overthrew him. Dalton knows he had 6 points. Greg Little was the intended receiver.
Well, and Little is matched up one-on-one on the outside, and you can see the pressure that Baltimore is going to bring, leaving that isolated route up top. Dalton locates the matchup he wants. He knows he's missed one. You can tell by his reaction. As a quarterback, those are layups that you miss.
Nugent from 33 yards is good. 11:24 to play in the fourth. Cincinnati's lead is 20-14. Our aerial coverage of today's game provided very nicely by MetLife. "12-play drive, about 5.5 minutes. Mike Nugent's field goal. And Andy Dalton's one incompletion was one he shouldn't have had. He should have clicked on that.
Or he should have. It was an open receiver, and he's going to be mad at himself, and especially however this game unfolds the rest of the way.
Jacoby Jones doesn't get it back to the 20-yard line. In fact, we were watching Andy Dalton on the sideline. Shazbot.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. Verizon, more live games than ever before with NFL Mobile. And by Chili's, where fresh is happening now.
Just a beautiful day here in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Ravens from their own 18 and Flacco to throw. Over the middle. Open across the 25-yard line is Kamar Aiken. Let's go down to Evan.
Well, Greg, Torrey Smith left the field at the 8:22 mark of the third quarter to be evaluated for a concussion. He returned to the field at the 12:30 mark of the fourth quarter, came to the sideline, took some passes from backup Tyrod Taylor, spoke with the doctors and trainers. He has his helmet. I'm told he is available to play in this game.
Evan, thank you. And Trent, you and I were talking that if he's got his helmet on, then he's ready to go, right?
He's been cleared to play if they're going to give you your helmet back.
Flacco with all kinds of time, going to go deep. Incomplete. Kamar Aiken, the intended receiver.
Joe Flacco has a big enough arm to take a shot up the field. He has Steve Smith Sr. work in the middle of the field. He just leads him too much as he's going for Aiken in the big home run throw.
I was going to say, that throw was about 65 yards.
And he just flicked it. It wasn't even like he had to grunt into it.
Torrey Smith back onto the field for the Ravens. To the bottom of the screen. Right there. 3rd and 2. And timeout called by Baltimore. Time running down on the play clock. 10:39 to play in the fourth. This crowd has been on its feet for about the last minute and a half. 3rd and 2 for Baltimore. Flacco going to throw for it. Eludes the pressure, throws this side of the field, incomplete. Steve Smith Sr. targeted on the play.
Well, on Flacco, it was a great effort by Steve Smith Sr. He ends up coming up with this catch. He's just out of bounds. But Joe Flacco is going to kick himself when he comes back and he watches this film. On 3rd and 2, the offensive line does a nice job with protection. He's able to step up, elude that pressure, and get the ball up the field. But he has nobody in front of him. I don't know how long he could have run, but he definitely could have gotten the 2 yards needed for the first down.
Brandon Tate deep for the kick by Sam Cook. And this is Tate from the 24. And run out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Albert McClellan making the stop. A reminder, coming up next, the NFL on CBS rolls on. Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts at Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, or the Oakland Raiders in Cleveland to take on the Browns. That's next here on CBS. Let's go back to that play you were talking about, Trent.
Well, Flacco, you're gonna watch the drop of the linebackers, and when Flacco, the pressure is going to be coming up the field, and as Joe steps, you got to understand. Here's the first down marker right here. As he steps up, he had plenty of room to get up and get that first down. So what I'm saying is, when he goes back and he watches film, yes, you're taking shots up the field, and that's Joe Flacco's game. He likes to take big shots up the field, but in that situation on 3rd and short, realizing everybody's in man-to-man, he could have picked up the first down with his feet.
Dalton now to Jeremy Hill out of the backfield, and Hill is going to be marked out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. Once again, this is a game being played for the top spot in the AFC North. Baltimore at 5-2. A Cincinnati win would inch the Bengals ahead of Baltimore by percentage points.
Well, you knew that tie was going to come back and cause some problems at some point in time, and it's definitely causing problems for our math right now, but statistically and percentage-wise, Cincinnati would be in first place.
Quick pass outside to Sanu. Sanu spinning out of tackle and ahead to about the 38-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 2.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati comes out here with a play-action pass. They've had some success running the football, but you have to remember Baltimore's run defense, they're going to be stacked around the line of scrimmage. Try and get a quick play fake. You've got a bunch of receivers down here at the bottom of the screen. Don't be surprised if it's layered. You have a deep throw, a middle throw, and a short throw, and it gives Andy Dalton some options.
Right guard Kevin Zeitler ran to the sideline. He's been replaced by Mike Pollock. And this is Dalton with the keeper and a first down. You know, it has gotten into the heads of you quarterbacks that you guys can run and run almost any time you so desire.
Well, Andy Dalton is going to be on a read option here, and he's just going to read the defensive end. He pulls the ball. I don't think that's something that Andy Reid does a lot of, and that's what catches Elvis Dumerville off target there, and Dalton's able to get the first down, slide, and not have to take a big hit.
On first down, Dalton throwing. This side of the field, almost picked off. Dominique Franks read it well, couldn't get there in time. It'll be 2nd and 10.
And it's for Andy Dalton's sake, it's good that he left it to the outside. If he leaves that ball on the inside, that's going to be a pick 6. They've been going after Franks now ever since he came in the game, replacing Jimmy Smith, and that time he almost had he had a win because he knocked the ball down, but he almost had a big win.
Jeremy Hill. And Hill to about the 49-yard line. Coming up after the game, time permitting, it's the NFL Today update presented by LG G3. Join JB and company for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. Now, 3rd and 5. Where do you go if you're the Bengals?
Well, you anticipate the teams generally like to play the sticks. So you got 5 yards to go. You're going to run your route at 6 to 7 yards and try and pick up the first down. But if you want to take advantage of Baltimore bringing pressure, you can take a shot up the field.
Dalton, quick pitch this side, complete. Jeremy Hill, first down and then some. Out of bounds at the Baltimore 36-yard line.
Nice call by Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator for the Bengals. You're going to see the free release here coming out to the flat. Suggs comes off the edge with the outside receiver just doing a slant, bringing Franks in on his coverage. That's what leaves Jeremy Hill wide open. There's nobody out in the flat with the outside receiver going that way. Franks in coverage, man-to-man, running with him. Nobody there to fall off.
This is Bernard. Bernard to about the 32, where Timmy Jernigan pulls him to a stop, and it's Timmy Jernigan who is slow to get off the turf. The word from the sideline, the Bengals sideline, is that Kevin Zeitler, the right guard, has suffered a calf injury, and his return is doubtful. Good to see Jernigan up. He is the 2nd-round draft pick out of Florida State. Has been getting some increased playing time for Baltimore.
And on this second medium here, I would anticipate that Baltimore is going to bring some pressure. A field goal makes this back to a 2-possession game. So if you're Baltimore, you have to do whatever you can to try and push them back. Try and either get a turnover, try and get a big sack, try and just cause some pressure. Because right now you're looking at a 50-yard field goal.
You saw Zeitler there on the bench.
You have to start taking some chances.
2nd and 6. And Dalton lost the football. Picked up by the Ravens. That's a fumble. Darrell Smith tracked down inside the 10-yard line by Jeremy Hill.
And how about the play of Haloti Ngata, the defensive tackle, well over 340 pounds. Ngata's right here on your screen. He gets upfield. Not only is he going to get the sack, but he's able to knock the ball loose.
And Jeremy Hill comes back to save the touchdown for the moment. What a mistake by Andy Dalton. If you're Andy Dalton, you just have to put that ball away and take the sack.
Yeah, you do. You can't have. Obviously, that's a. I talked about Baltimore having to put some pressure on and get a turnover or knock them out of field goal range. That's all those things wrapped into one, and now all of a sudden Baltimore is in position to take the lead if they get the touchdown and the extra point.
Taliaferro in the backfield. Taliaferro left side, going to the end zone, touchdown.
What a change of events here. The last 2 plays, Cincinnati's moving the ball down the field, getting into position to take a 2-possession lead. And then with Haloti Ngata's sack fumble, and here we go on first down. Look at the blocking. There, every
terrific
single
blocking up
person,
front.
every single person had a man on him. Well, and what makes that big, Greg, is it's on the kickoff. So now you're all of a sudden going to give Cincinnati better field position. Instead of kicking it out of the end zone like you've been doing on every other kickoff, now all of a sudden you're giving them an opportunity to get a bigger return and better field position.
Justin Tucker gives Baltimore its first lead of the day. Talk about a turnaround. Dalton's fumble, Darrell Smith's return, Taliaferro's touchdown, 21-20 Baltimore.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Subway Restaurants. Subway. Train hard, eat fresh.
Back at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Ravens have come up with the perfect silencer for this crowd. Darrell Smith's recovery. Haloti Ngata's forced fumble. And it's 21-20 Ravens. After the penalty assessed, here's Adam Jones from his own 5. And Jones with running room out to the 40-yard line. Decent field position for the Cincinnati offense. A Thursday, it's an all-new night of comedy on CBS, beginning with The Big Bang Theory on its new night, followed by the season premiere of Mom, the final season of 2.5 Men, and the series premiere of The McCarthys. It all starts Thursday at 8, 7 Central, only CBS.
Well, that 15-yard penalty on the touchdown run, all of a sudden now you're kicking off, and Cincinnati is able to get the return instead of getting the ball on the 20. Now they have the ball on the 40-yard line, and only down by 1. They need, what do they got, 15, 20 yards to go here, 20, 25 yards to go to where they can, they can at least attempt a field goal.
Giovanni Bernard sidelined with a hip injury. We are told his return is questionable. A quick pass is complete and lost the football. Popped up into the air. Grabbed by C.J. Mosley. Mosley brought down inside the 45-yard line.
And here's the important thing to understand about that, Greg. Whether or not they review it, it doesn't matter if you determine it was a fumble or you determine it was an interception, because the ball never touches the ground. Because if it's a contested ball and there's never clear possession with 2 feet down and the ball's knocked loose before that, it's dual possession, so
it never touches the ground.
It never touches the ground, so it's a moot point.
Boy, how about this Baltimore defense, which has stepped up with back-to-back huge plays?
Well, if you go back to the third quarter, the Cincinnati defense had back-to-back interceptions of Joe Flacco, and they were able to convert it into some points. But now all of a sudden, Baltimore with back-to-back turnovers. They've got the touchdown on the first one, and now they've got a chance to go down and secure an even bigger lead if they can get a touchdown.
Matt Elam forced the ball free. Mosley picked it off, and this is Forsett left side. Inside the 40 to the 38. As we come up on 6 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Sanu made what appeared to be the pretty good catch, just couldn't put it away.
Yeah, that was just a contested zone. It looks like they're throwing it up on the stat screen as an interception for Dalton. So now the last 2 possessions, Andy Dalton with the sack fumble that Ngata had, that Darrell Smith picked up, and then that interception.
2nd and 4. And Forsett once again as the Ravens look to take a little time off the clock.
Never too early to start looking ahead, and with 5 minutes to go, Cincinnati has all 3 timeouts left, and that's what makes this critical for Baltimore to pick up the first down. throwing the football here. Even though an incompletion would stop the clock, it's more important to take that risk and try and pick up the first down to keep the ball away from Cincinnati as long as you can.
Flacco waiting, throwing, sideline, and that is caught. And Marlon Brown is brought down almost immediately by George Iloka.
And because of the pressure, Flacco has to hang on to the ball a little bit longer, and because of that, Marlon Brown has to come back. He initially has the first down with the route that he ran, but because he has to come back to the ball, the amount of time it took for the ball to get into the flat, he has to come back, taking him back across the first down marker, and the secure tackle forces him to attempt the field goal.
And Justin Tucker is going to try this one from 53 yards. On its way, straight enough, and good. That is a huge kick.
Well, Greg, that would have been good from another 8 yards.
Well, for those of little faith, that kick has brought some of the Bengal faithful rising to their feet and heading for the exits. We still have 3:59 to play. The difference now is that the Bengals need a touchdown rather than a field goal. Baltimore, 10 points in the last 2.5 minutes and all off turnovers. Adam Jones will not get a chance to run this one back. And so the Bengals will start from their own 20-yard line. A reminder, this week, Thursday Night Football is on the NFL Network with an NFC South clash. The New Orleans Saints, the Carolina Panthers, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live on NFL Network.
Cincinnati's now in position. They have to go down and get a touchdown. They are down 4. Field goal doesn't do you any good unless you think for some reason you can kick a field goal if it's 4th and extremely long, kick the field goal and attempt to get an onside kick. At that point in time, you have to weigh your percentages. But I think your mindset has to be, no matter what, you're going for it on all 4th downs. Try and get in the end zone.
Dalton throwing is incomplete. Let's get you to New York for another NFL Today update. James Brown, Bart Scott.
Seattle trying to pull it out.
Yes, Russell Wilson to Wilson finds Luke Wilson on the 20-yard touchdown. Seattle up 13 now with 47 seconds to go.
Back to Greg Gumbel. Trent Green.
Bart Scott has been waiting all day to say Wilson to Wilson. I guarantee you. Guarantee. 2nd and 10, Dalton. Little flip and just couldn't connect with Greg Little over the middle. 3rd and 10.
Well, I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit now, Greg. I said they have to go for all 4th downs. You throw 2 incompletions in a row and only take 12 seconds off the clock. Now all of a sudden you don't make this on 3rd down. If it's another incomplete, you've got all 3 timeouts. You've got the 2-minute warning. You have to punt it away and hope your defense gets you better field position. But you ultimately...
You deserted 4-down territory in a hurry.
Well, I didn't anticipate you're going to come out and throw 2 incompletions in a row. If anything, a lot of times you try getting a drive started. You try getting a short throw, whether it be a screen, a wide receiver screen, some kind of flow just to get a drive going, get some tempo going.
Dalton throwing it deep. Sanu, got it! Sanu inside the 30. First down, Baltimore, or Cincinnati, excuse me. At the Baltimore 27. Sanu with the advantage of looking back and watching the football, which the Baltimore defense did not do.
Well, Terrence Brooks is in position. He's on top of Sanu, but as the ball's underthrown, he doesn't see it underthrown, and Sanu's able to come back for the ball. But what a great play by Andy Dalton. The pressure is coming. He's able to slide and then step up in the pocket, and while he's on the move, making that throw down the sideline.
First down from the 27. Dalton lofts it out here to Jeremy Hill. And Hill out of bounds at about the 21-yard line. It's not that these teams aren't used to late game heroics when they play each other.
Seems like every matchup's coming down to the end. The last one came down to, Steve Smith Sr. got the touchdown, and then A.J. Green got the winning touchdown, and every time it's coming down this way. We should have known better.
A.J. Green caught a 77-yarder week 1 with 5:46 to play at Baltimore. Hill to about the 18.5-yard line. Clock continues to move, 2:40 to play.
Well, and now the reason that if you're wondering why you're running the football now is now you worry about if you score too quickly and giving Baltimore time. So this is a balancing act that you have to do as an offensive coordinator. Yes, I want to get first downs. I want to ultimately get into the end zone, but I don't want to get in too quickly because of the amount of time with the 2-minute warning and Baltimore having 2 timeouts remaining. You don't want to do it too quickly.
3rd and 2. Dalton. Little pump fake, throws sideline, that's complete, inside the 15, inside the 10, and out of bounds at about the 7, Greg Little. First and goal.
Andy Dalton trying to get a pump route on the backside. You see that a slant and go to the front side. That's why you see the shoulder shrug trying to get him to jump. But he knew where his outlet was on the backside to Greg Little.
Baltimore against Cincinnati, you knew it would be like this, didn't you? 2 minutes to play. Inside of 2 minutes this season, the Baltimore defense has allowed opponents just 3 points total. That's the fewest in the NFL. Jeremy Hill in the backfield. Hill to the 5. Timeout situation, Cincinnati with all 3 remaining, Baltimore with 2 remaining.
I would think if Baltimore gets a stop here before 3rd down happens, that would be when they utilize one of their 2 timeouts just to try and preserve as much time as possible.
2nd and goal. Hill straight ahead. To the goal line and just short. And that's a loose football. Russell Bodine had the recovery right at the goal line.
Let's see if we can locate where his knee goes down.
He's reaching for it.
Okay, so the ground causes a fumble. His knee was down back when the ball was at the 1-yard line. No recovery, no touchdown.
And Baltimore uses a timeout to stop the clock at 1:06.
Since we're under 2 minutes, the booth can call for a review to check on this spot as well.
So what have we learned in this short 2-game series between the Bengals and the Ravens? Don't tune out early.
Don't tune out early, and don't trust whatever it says on paper. Because on paper, with the way that Baltimore had been rolling the last couple weeks and Cincinnati struggling the last 3 weeks, on paper you would anticipate that Baltimore was going to roll through this game, but that's why this series has been so classic over the years.
Domata Peko back into the backfield ahead of Jeremy Hill. Straight ahead, he didn't get there. Tripped up early.
They actually lost yardage.
Oh, and a great play by Haloti Ngata.
Once again, Nada getting penetration into the backfield.
And Cincinnati, or rather Baltimore, uses its final timeout. 4th and goal.
Let's look ahead a little bit. So let's say Baltimore gets this stop here, right? That's going to leave them 55 seconds left on the clock from their own 1-yard line potentially. Cincinnati has all 3 timeouts to go. So Baltimore not picking up a first down. If they don't, all of a sudden have to punt the ball back with this field position. Cincinnati, if they don't get in here, they still could have a few seconds left with the ball around midfield.
4th and goal for the Bengals. Down 4. 4th and goal. Dalton pushing. Touchdown. How fast can you go from goat to hero in this game?
Well, the play that he made where he stepped up in the pocket and hit Sanu down the sideline is really what was the difference maker on that drive.
Nugent with an important extra point. And it's good. 57 seconds on the clock. The Bengals by 3.
Here's the touchdown run. Quarterback sneak just working over the right side of the line. You can see as they come up, this has happened several times on 3rd down and on the goal line previously. Jeremy Hill coming up and getting a push in the back.
So now the Ravens and Joe Flacco and John Harbaugh looking at trying to get Justin Tucker into field goal range in this final 57 seconds. He is 3 out of 3 today from 45, 50, and 53 yards. Jacoby Jones with a chance to run this one out of the end zone. He lost it in the end zone, and he will take a knee. So Flacco will start from the 20-yard line. A reminder, Baltimore is out of timeouts. How about those people that left a little early?
In this series, I would never leave early. The way these games, they always come down. Now the players on the bench are going crazy. The Bengals sideline trying to get the crowd into it.
Not that tough to do. The fans are on their feet. Flacco on 1st down. Throwing over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Steve Smith Sr. 2nd and 10.
And with Cincinnati trying to rush four to 4 linemen and drop 7 into coverage to take away those lanes, they were able to push the pocket there. And Flacco had to get rid of the ball early, anticipating where that route was going to end up.
Baltimore would need the Cincinnati 43-yard line for Justin Tucker to attempt a career long of 61. That one he got rid of in a hurry. Wallace Gilberry in on the quarterback. 3rd and 10.
Gilberry doing a nice job. 95 getting free. There was miscommunication in the protection, allowing Gilberry to come right up the gut.
Flacco on the move, throwing downfield to Steve Smith Sr., and he's got it! Smith Sr. Penalty marker is down to the 5. Touchdown. Now let's check the flag.
That should be defensive pass. Oh, they're going to call offensive pass.
They are calling offense against the Ravens.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 89. 10-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
That's pretty clear.
He does get a push here. Watch his left arm extend.
He gets a grab and a push, and then the football comes and he does the rest, but the flag is thrown.
Aloka does a good job. I don't know if the NBA may call that a flop, but
you really believe that was a flop?
In the national, I know he got his hand on it, he extended it, but
instead of a game-changing touchdown, it's 3rd and 20.
I'm saying he made that look a little worse than what it maybe was, but the penalty was called, and
Flacco, under pressure, had to get rid of it. 4th down. 23 on the clock. They played this kind of a game week 1. Did you think they could possibly come back and play another one like it?
Well, when we were sitting at halftime, and both of these teams had about 140 yards of offense apiece, to think it was going to come down to this. I don't know why we thought it would be any different, but sure didn't shape up that way the first half. They've got to get to the 30-yard line for a first down.
Flacco under pressure in the end zone, got rid of it. Taliaferro to the 20 and out of bounds at the 23. The Bengals are going to sweep the 2-game season series with Baltimore and take over first place in the AFC North.
And Greg, I know Andy Dalton came up with some big plays at the end, but this Cincinnati defense, the job that they did today, after what they went through the last 3 weeks, you talked about the missed tackles, 10 missed tackles a week ago. Offensively, they only had 8 first downs and 135 yards. But their defense giving up over 35 points a game the last 3 weeks, coming in and shutting down Baltimore.
Cincinnati now 12-0-1 in their last 13 home games. The win today puts them atop the AFC North and gives them the 2-game sweep over the Baltimore Ravens. What a game. Andy Dalton and the Bengals walk off the field a winner. Once again, the Bengals over the Ravens, 27-24. Coming up next, it's the Colts and the Steelers, or the Raiders against the Cleveland Browns. For Trent Green, Evan Washburn, and for all of our CBS Sports crew here in Cincinnati, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Paul Brown Stadium. Coming up, the NFL Today Up.